Thought I'd do a quick update on these chairs that I started a couple of days ago using the Gemini Eclipse, which is their new line of 1K polys and primers. Right now this has just got a primer coat on it. All of these doors have been primed and they've been thoroughly sanded. Tomorrow I'll vacuum them and then I'll run a tack cloth over every inch before we spray with the finish coat, which is going to be a black satin. But as far as sanding goes, this acrylic primer sands out really nice. As you can tell, it powders up, has no problem with adhesion so far, and I'm really happy with the way it sands. A lot of times a latex or an acrylic primer does not sand very well. You can't get it to powder up like that, and that's why I've always used a shellac base or some type of oil primer, because it just powders up. Cover stains real good, and bends. Shellac is what I normally use. But since these were being painted black, I wanted to get a black primer, and since my supplier had just gotten this new line, and again, this is what I'm using now, or what I had just used on there. That's the primer right there. The Evo line, that is a brand new line they just came out with, and my supplier got it just a couple days. As of now, there's only 2 people using this from my supplier, and I'm one of them. I don't know who the other one is, and this is going to be the finish coat right here, which is going to be a satin finish. So I look forward. Again, this is a 1K poly. You can turn it into a 2K if you want to add hardener to it. I'm choosing not to because I don't want to be put under the pressure. From what I understand, you got 2 minutes to use it, and that includes cleaning up your equipment. So for now, it's just going to be a 1K, but that is a true 1K poly. There's a lot of coatings out there. Gallery, which is about the only Sherwin-Williams product that I actually like. They've got a pretty good coating that I've used for cabinets and furniture before. But it's not a true 1K poly. So I wanted to try this out, and so far so good. About got this chair wrapped up, and I'll show you how easy this sands. It's pretty, powders up, minimal effort. I don't want to, if I'm sanding on this, I don't want to be sanding very aggressively, because you can sand through it just like any other primer if you try hard enough. In fact, that's where I had a little drip or something, but and you can see some white cover stain poking out. I'll tell you, here's the thing I had to learn really quickly is when using these acrylic polys, whenever you take on a piece of furniture, cabinetry, you got to thoroughly clean it. Normally I would use something like a crud cutter or something on there, and then after I sand everything, before I apply the primer, I'll sand it, and then I'll wipe everything down with Peso. And I've used Peso for years. Peso is a deglosser / cleaner. It's a solvent-based product, and my supplier talked me out of it, and I don't know why I let him do it. But what happened was, when I applied this acrylic primer on there, I was getting crackling from where I hadn't cleaned well enough on these areas where you would grab a dining room chair, this part here, and this whole rim. Now I thought I had it sanded all nice before I primed it, and then as soon as I shot this on there, I could see the reaction, and so it alligatored up or crackled up. So I had to sand the black primer back off, get it down to bare wood again, and then thoroughly sanded all the areas that were giving me a hassle. And mainly it was all up here. Thank God it wasn't a whole chair, because that would have sucked. But it's just everywhere you'd expect a chair to be handled, right here and here and all that stuff. So just to be safe, I did hit the tops of these with cover stain oil, like a little spray bomb out of a can, just to give me some added protection, because that oil primer does, you don't want to spray over grease or anything like that. Nothing's going to hold. But if you thoroughly wash something and there happens to be a little bit of residue that you've missed or didn't get rinsed off, that cover stain does a pretty good job of sticking on there, you know, as long as it's not no big chunks of shit. So anyway, if you're going to use the acrylic primer, which I will, so far so good, just make sure you thoroughly clean it, and when in doubt, maybe shoot it with a little bit of a spray bomb. But everything down here, I was fortunate, and again, I came on this crackling underside here, just exactly where you would think, you know, everybody's got their hands. So I sanded all that down, reprimed it, and problem solved. So just, that's something to keep in mind when switching to an acrylic primer. And I think the Peso would have helped. I don't know why I got talked out of that, or let myself get talked out of it. I've been doing the same thing for years and years, and that's why I Peso. It just helps get the last grime out of there. It acts like a good degreaser, so I'll use that. Just going back to like how I always did, and I think that would have saved me a little bit of having to rework some of this. But anyway, it's all solved now. Tomorrow, clean them up, and I'll shoot them and take a video of them after they're done.